Hi everyone, thank you for joining us to this session. My name is Sandra Moro, I'm the admissions specialist at the Barcelona School of Economics. Today with me we have David Rossell, the director of the Masters in Data Science Methodology, and Magda Kruska, the careers specialist. David will be explaining the details about the masters. Magda will provide information about placement after graduating. And myself, after these two presentations, you can guys ask anything. Questions about, academic questions, about placement, and even about admissions, because I can reply to those. Okay? So, David, all yours.
All right. Well, thank you, Sandra, and welcome everyone. All right. So, Sandra said the idea is to basically give you a bit more of information about what the program is about, also so that you can put faces to names, and then give you a chance to ask any questions you may have. So, I'll basically start by giving a bit of a program overview. Much of this information you can also find on the website, but I'll try to add a few extra comments. Then make sure explain what the make sure what you should expect and whether the program, so that you can assess whether the program is a good fit for what you're looking for. It's of course an important investment in terms of time and money for you, so you need to assess that carefully. And then Magda will explain the career prospects. Okay, so can we please move on to the program overview? Yeah, all right. So, I mean, basically, in a nutshell, the reason why this master was created in the first place is because we have sort of like a deep belief that if you want to have fun and enjoy doing data analysis, and also these days there's competition everywhere, including default solutions that say an AI might provide. If you want to be able to do better than that competition, you need to be able to come up with creative new answers that are of high quality. So that you need to be able to go beyond the standard. And there's no way how to do that unless you sort of understand well what the methods are doing. When can you expect an analysis method to work? What kinds of guarantees you have? Um, it's important to not just learn how to type code and run analysis, but to actually understand what it is that you're doing. That goes, understanding the basic building blocks, the basic reasons why things work and when. Because if you know that, then you're ready to also tweak default analysis, and that's when you really go the extra mile. And that's when you really have fun. At least that's been my experience throughout my career, and I've been in the business for over 30 years now. So, I've seen my own share of what this is about. Yeah. So if you ask me, what's special about this program is, again, I think if you ask me or if you ask our students, alumni, a recurrent answer you'll get is the focus on foundations. Yeah, so it's like, it's about understanding the foundations, why things work. To give you a fundamental toolkit, you'll learn lots of things during 1 year, but even more importantly than that is that you get the ability to continue learning the things that come up in the future. And so it's this focus on foundations that lets you do that later on in life. And look, this is a rapidly evolving field. When we started the master about 12 years ago, um, there was no AI. Right? No ChatGPT kind of thing, right? So imagine just how things have changed in this period. Yeah. Yet the fundamentals remain, and the people who study with us have the basic tools and knowledge to understand and keep up with the rapid evolution of the field. We think this is an important set. Another thing that I think is important about the program is that it's quite multidisciplinary. Like, you'll find a strong component of notions in statistics. You'll find strong components of notions that have to do with machine learning. There's things that have to do with optimization. Some have to work with computer science. Um, uh, we're within the Barcelona School of Economics, so all of this should be understood also in the sense that within reach you have all of the wonderful tools and things that come from econ. So I think it's not that common to find a program that's so uh, multidisciplinary and tries to bring in so many disciplines in to give you a complete picture. Yeah. So this would be perhaps the brutal overview. Yeah. Um, then just to give you a glimpse on what the program is about, and again, I don't want to bore anyone with this because you guys can find this with more detail on the website. But basically, we have some brush ups in computation, which is basically Python and R programming before starting the the master properly, let's say, and also brush up in probability and statistics. This is just to bring everyone up to speed. Students are diverse. Some of you were maybe very comfortable with these things already, others not so much. Well, the idea is that this gives a chance to basically get ready for the action. Then there's a bunch of mandatory courses and many electives, really. So the mandatory ones are listed here. There's the ones in term one. In term one, everything is mandatory, so students just basically relax and absorb the foundations provided by these courses. In term two, you start having some electives, and then you'll see that in term three, you get many more options. So these in term one, basically, there's courses on statistical inference. I teach this one, for example. This has to do with what's called high dimensional inference. So it means dealing with situations where you have many parameters, big data in some sense, like maybe you're doing a regression and you have billions of variables or something like that, and you want to be able to do something reasonable with it with some guarantees that you're providing valid answers in the usual statistical ways. Um, we talk about Bayesian inference, things that are fundamental also for machine learning, like latent variables, hierarchical models. Hierarchical models are really useful tools when you don't have lots of data, and well, though there's data everywhere, sometimes you'll be in domains where, for example, a biologist spends 5 years of her lifetime to produce a bit of data, and that's really precious. And you need to be able to answer those questions too when data are scarce. So, for example, hierarchical models are very useful in that setting. There's another course on optimization. Optimization is, useful for two things, at least. One is that it helps with decision making, optimal decision making, which is really valuable for many companies, of course. There's also a component that basically gives you the way how understand the algorithms, how you can train data analysis methods using data. So this typically involve optimization, computation, and these optimizations and being able to do these computations quickly is key because oftentimes the methods that you're able to use may not be the ideal ones, or those for which you can compute things quickly enough, given the complexity of the problem. So um, there's a couple more courses, one more on data management, databases, software engineering, covering the basics, really, really important, and another on computational machine learning, where it's a hands-on course, lots of practice, lots of doing analysis in your computer to learn the fundamental machine learning algorithms. Start practicing with things like random forests and deep learning and whatnot in action in practice. So that's more or less term one, and the idea is that by the end of term one, everyone has some solid foundations, and everyone has more or less caught up uh, given the diverse backgrounds that you may have. Then in term two, there's some mandatory courses. There's one machine learning, which are basically mathematical foundations of machine learning. Some people think machine learning is just, oh, I try an algorithm and it happens to work. Well, actually, there's very serious mathematics behind, showing when these algorithms can work, giving guarantees, etc. So we spend quite a few hours covering those things from first principles. Yeah, but this is sort of like a very important basis. Um, there's a course on deep learning covering a variety more deeply than in term one is just practicing some basics. In term two is go deeper into deep learning, all of the common deep learning models, starting with the multi-layer perceptron to convolutional networks for image analysis, for example, large language models, etc., etc. So all of the basic machinery that you have there. And then, of course, on causal inference is really important because oftentimes it's not just about making predictions; it's about assessing whether certain variables have an effect on whatever it is that you're studying, and for that you need causality. So we cover the grounds of causality in I think a nice way because there's different approaches to causality. If you come from econ, everything you've seen are things that have to do with what's called the potential outcomes framework. In other fields, maybe all you've seen are another approach, which is based on graphical models. And here we bring both of them in, providing a really solid fundamental basis of causal inference. Also mixing it with some modern machine learning, how to integrate these ideas of modern machine learning techniques. So it's a really fun course, and again, really, really important. Yeah. Then there's a bunch of electives. I'll go a bit more high level on these ones. There's things about the geospatial data, so data over space and time. Things about that have to do more with finance, with networks, data. Say who is friend of whom, or who trades how much with whom, or who buys how much from whom. There's also courses on text data and natural language processing. Um, in term three, I'll maybe highlight a couple of courses. There's a course on reinforcement learning. This is I would make this course mandatory if I could, honestly. It's a wonderful course. Reinforcement learning is one of the main types of machine learning. It has to do with making decisions over time. And it's really at the heart, it's one of the reasons why ChatGPT works, for example. Yeah, ChatGPT is basically a deep learning architecture called transformers plus reinforcement learning. Yeah, so that's why ChatGPT works. Um, Another really important course, in my view, is this probabilistic machine learning course, which has to do, well, if you are about giving predictions, you want to be honest about how certain or uncertain you are about these predictions. And here there's a whole world out there of machinery dealing with this. It also provides foundations for things like generating new images and text, and so generative models these days. And then there's other things, specializations of machine learning for finance, more on databases if you're into that, more into natural language processing, courses on ethics, plus a long list of other electives that I'm not putting here, but basically you can request to take electives offered by any other master at the Barcelona School of Economics. So that means, many courses from our sister data science for decision-making program, also courses from economics, finance, etc. Okay, so that's more or less the curriculum. Um, there's a master thesis done in groups, typically proposed by professors, but students can also propose their own topic if they want. I put here some recent examples. The main message is they're really varied. See, one has to do with earning calls, another has to do with neural networks and Bayesian optimization, another is generative modeling, so like generating new images, new text, new content, for example. Another has to do with satellite images for developing countries. Others have to do with cryptocurrency, yet others not listed here have to do with biomedicine. The variety is huge, really. Yeah? So the idea is that the main message is there's lots of variety, and students choose whatever it is that they're most interested in, and it's a chance to learn more about that. Yeah? The projects are done always under close supervision and collaboration with our professors. There's also a practicum. This is an optional, it's an elective course that you may or may not take, depending on your interests. About 50% of the students, give or take on the average, are interested in practicums over the years. This is, I think, a very nice distinguishing feature of this program. The idea is that you go to work into a company or sometimes a research institution, nonprofit organization that proposes a project, and so then you basically work with them. This can be physically at their premises or in some other times it's done remotely. So, for example, if you work with a World Bank based in New York City, then you'll be here, of course, in Barcelona, and so you could do that remotely. Yeah. But the main goal is, you get to put it to season term three. So will have learned a lot by then. So you put that into practice in a real life setting. What the kind of situation you'll find after finishing the master is an opportunity to learn more about the domain field of application. If you're really into, creating videos. For example, there was a practicum this year about Caravelle AI, about generative video production. So generating with AI videos for artists to use, for example, right? If you are interested in nonprofit organizations, for example, we had well, besides the World Bank, was a regular collaborator. But for example, this Mobilidad company that is basically an electrical vehicle car sharing platform. And so they're interested in forecasting demands to plan their resources. We've worked for a number of years now with the Institute of Space Sciences that did really, really good stuff. Even academic papers are coming out of this. Collaborations with them are co-authored by our students. This has happened actually a number of times for master thesis projects or practicums. Um, there's another institute, for example, Institute of Barcelona for Global Health, IS Global, had to do with mortality surveillance, cheap methods to do mortality surveillance. By cheap, I mean in the sense that they can be applied everywhere in the world, including developing countries, and that's important because in those countries you don't always have the resources to do the more extensive follow-up. So that's things that can have real impact. Plus other things, yeah, AI assistance for shopping in supermarkets, consulting companies. The list is again really long, really varied. It changes every year. It depends on what current projects these people have available. The companies also change. We also try to bring up new ones, but generally speaking, it can be a very nice opportunity. If you're not so inclined, then it's optional, and then you just take more coursework, you take more courses, and that's totally fine, of course. Yeah. Okay, so that's more or less what to expect in the program. I should perhaps modestly brag a bit about the faculty. The faculty, I mean, I'm really happy. I think I'm really fortunate to be directing a master where the faculty are really of such exceptional caliber. The, 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 the bottom line is pretty much everyone, or like 90% of the professors we have, are very active researchers in the field of data science, in the things more specifically that they'll be teaching you. So there are people who are developing the new methods, pushing the frontiers from the in the fields, or the people who basically uh, have the most advanced knowledge possible as one possible token. If you bother to go at people's websites, you'll see that most of us have editorial roles in the top scientific journals worldwide, publishing regularly in those journals. There's a list of books that are quite fundamental for the field, published by some of our professors. Here I listed a few. So, I think what's beautiful about the program is you've got this faculty who, again, in a modest way, but they're really good. But they're approachable and they care about the program. This is a perhaps if you can skip to the next slide. I think maybe I'm going to say some of these things. Yeah, exactly. So the teaching methodology is we try to work with small cohorts of students. Roughly, we have about 20 students. We think that's critical. We want to keep this manageable size. We want for professors to be approachable. Whenever I talk to students or alumni, that's a recurrent feedback that I get. They're happy that they can talk to professors often. So this is not a massive master where you'll be there with hundreds of other people, you'll get attention, and I think that's important also for us, frankly, because otherwise it feels like talking to a crowd, and I think it's fun for us either. Yeah. So what we do is basically there what to expect. There will be theory lectures where people will be scribbling on the board. Sometimes we'll be using slides. There's going to be a bunch of practical sessions, of course, to complement that. There's still lots of coding, programming, seeing things in practice and in action. There's going to be many projects where you then put, do like real life analysis. There will be Kaggle competitions, for example. There's, of course, the master project and the practicum that give you extra chances for doing these things. And most of these projects are going to be done uh, in teams. And we emphasize a lot the teamwork because, well, first, I mean, once you get out into the world, we work in teams. We play to each other's strengths. So it's something that we need to also, we believe, teach. Um, in academia, but perhaps even more critically, it's that by working in teams, you get to learn from what others have learned. Yeah, and this is completely fundamental. I should be straightforward with the fact that I'm promising a lot of things. I'm promising that I'll learn many things. This is a program that requires a full-time dedication. It's challenging. It's designed for students who really are, ready to put in the work, and are motivated to learn by this. Um, Now, so these are the challenges. There's many rewards afterwards, so I think it's totally worth it. But besides, your motivation, your resilience, and the professors being around, a fundamental asset is that you rely on your classmates. And that has been very useful to students. Again, because you're in a small group, so people really bond and help each other, and you work in teams. So, this is, I think, very important for any program, but for our program in particular, given that it's designed to be challenging basically so that you can learn more. Yeah. Um, right. Okay. So I guess it's just to wrap up my part, whether this is a program for you, I mean, well, I guess the fundamental thing is if you don't want to be running default data analysis methods, right? If all you want to do is somebody gives you some data set and boom, you run the default analysis and you give a solution, this is not your program. Yeah. Um, so if you want to be able to go beyond these defaults, then this is your program. And honestly, in this world, I think that's what makes the difference between you making you employable and a leader or someone who may be struggling for a job in a few years. Yeah, but that's my opinion at least. If you want to understand how methods work, that's that's again important to be able to come up with new ideas, to keep up with the field. Um, that gives you access to leading jobs. So if you enjoy looking at things, but also from the mathematical, statistical, quantitative economics perspective, which means that again, it's not just about running things and saying, oh, they work. No, I want to be more precise, understand why and when they work, when not, etc. Um, this is really important once you start looking at complex questions. I mean, if it's a simple question, it works, it works. When it's a complicated question, you sit down, you think carefully about the problem, and that makes a difference. Yeah. Fundamentally, I would say all of these things that I said, for me, for someone like me, has been the basis for having fun. If it had not been like this, I would not be doing this job. Yeah. So that's my take. At least I would also emphasize that I grew up as a statistician. I guess these days, the data scientist, many years ago, and my personal experience is there's really no other job in the world like this. With due respect to other wonderful jobs that may be out there, for me, this is the best one. It is the best one because, look, you get to work in so many fields. Like over the years, I've worked in medicine, molecular biology, chemistry, social sciences, like many things. typically with leaders in each of the fields, like prominent scientific figures in each of the fields. You get to play in everyone's backyard because they have exciting data problems and they need experts, and you get to play in that. And that feels like a renaissance to me. Yeah, we live in a world where everyone is so specialized and does a very specific task. As a data scientist, yeah, just beautiful. You can work across many different domains. For me, that's been tons of fun, at least. Yeah. Also, a student was telling me this year that data scientists are going to wield a lot of power in the future. I don't know if that's true, but certainly what we do uh, is being used by big and small companies in research, doctors, just everywhere. So the kinds of work that we do has an impact on society, on economy, on people's health and welfare. To me, that's a big motivation. Yeah, if you use this power for good, I like to think that we can, add our little grain of sand to perhaps make the world a little bit better. Maybe it's just my wishful thinking, but it keeps me going. Um, okay, so I think that's all I had. Then Magda will share some thoughts about career prospects.
Thank you, David. Good afternoon or good morning, depending where you're connecting from, everyone. My name is Magda Grucha. I am a career consultant in the career services team with actually 10 years this year experience in the careers of BSc in general, but from the beginning, actually from my first year, I was dedicated also to the data science master, and later also to the second master which we ran. So I'm going to here try to give you an overview of possible options after the master. If we can switch the slide to the next one, Sandra. And also, I wanted to say thanks, David, for this brief introduction. I felt that your passion, there was so much passion. I hope I can transmit the same level of passion for what we do at Career Services as you conducted before. I think, Sandra, this is the deck of slides, perhaps, which was previously sent. I'm not sure, but we can roll with this. No worries. Actually, it's gonna. I know this data by heart almost. So just to share with the students as well what you could let's say expect after the master in data science methodology. So first of all, the placement data. We are very proud of our results, and we can say that we have amazingly good results every year in the placement. What is placement? What does placement mean? For us, it's basically where do our students end up after the master, and we measure it 6 months later. So that's the, let's say, moment when we reach out to you and ask you, but actually we're working since, well, from graduation during the whole year we work with you, and then we also follow up who ends up doing what after the master. So the data is collected 6 months afterwards. So we have the results here. You can see on the screens 91% placed within 6 months of graduation for the three cohorts average, but I can already proudly say that placement 2025, so this is the recent data we collected. We just are finishing our internal reports, but we have that number already closed, is 100% from class of data science methodology 2025. What does it mean? Basically, from that class, the people who just finished in July, all of them are having a project. Basically, no one is unemployed looking for a job or looking for something to do. But as you can see, over the last 3 years, sometimes it's 91%. The actually average was 91. So that means there perhaps is one or two people, or perhaps three sometimes, who are at that moment looking for jobs. But many years over my 10 years in the career services team, the placement is 100% actually. So definitely, this is a profile on where there's high demand on the market. Okay, so let's continue to the next slide. A few words about the also split of professional versus academic placement. So what we call professional is basically going to work in some kind of industry and basically having a job rather than continuing studying and staying at academia. So professional would be having, let's say, a job, and the other one would be academic, so it's PhD or other master. But in our case, it's mainly the PhD placement. So you can see over the three last cohorts, 79% went for the professional placement, 21 for academic. And here on the screen, you can also see examples of the places where people were continuing education, so PhD programs that they entered into. So we can have different, you can see actually different universities in Barcelona. And also at the UPF itself. So there is this special so-called data science track, and which you could also enter at UPF after the Master in Data Science. And there's a website where you can read more about it. If you just in the Google search put UPF PhD Data Science track, you're gonna find the whole information. Okay, so now a few words about the sectors. So this is actually a slide where it's what the students, well, this maybe we actually skipped this one because this was from a presentation that I'm gonna give to those of you who join in September. So I don't want to later repeat myself. But let's go to actual data of where people ended up. So we see the highest percentage, 45%, went to research and academic institutions. So as David was saying before, it's very common that our students choose it's not academia as in doing a PhD, but basically they get a role working in perhaps either a university or some other institution which does research, right? So or maybe so this has been a common trend in the last in those years 22, 23, 24. 25 is not included because, as I mentioned, we just are wrapping up the data, so it's still not fully closed. Here is also the next most popular sector where people end up is technology, 22%, then followed by 14% consulting, 8% financial services, 5% international organizations, non-profits. Also very typical for BSc, let's say, placement, since we are linked very well also with a lot of institutions, like especially for economists, not all the most prestigious institutions in the world that hire economists, also very often they hire data scientists with this perhaps also understanding of economics, no? Since many of our data science students have that background as well. And then other industries, 6%. Other industries, here we can have any industry. It could be from pharma to agriculture, transport, fast-moving consumer goods, basically a little bit of everything, because every sector needs data scientists. So next slide. A few words about geographical distribution of our alumni from the data science methodology. So actually, the highest percentage of people placed is in Spain. You can see here on the map, 61% of our students from this program end up staying in Spain, whether they are Spanish or not, but most likely actually not. I mean, we have a lot of, as you might know, a lot of various nationalities. So the percentage of Spanish students is actually not as high, but 61% managed to stay in Spain, whether in Barcelona or Madrid. Barcelona market for data scientists, Barcelona being like a very strong global hub for data and IT professionals, is a good place as well to later target your placement. And then we have, of course, people going to, in general, to other countries in Europe, 17% North America, and 2% Central South America. In general, this will always depend on, as I always see it, the data, every cohort will be a bit different. The trend is clear that a lot of people stays in Barcelona. Later, some people decide to go back to their home country, wherever they come from, or perhaps continue on this international adventure since they just are not ready to go back to just settle back in their home country. So this is a little bit to show you where our biggest hubs are with alumni. Next slide. This will be about a little bit of data showing you again geographical location, let's say countries where we have the highest numbers of alumni, and also most frequently hiring companies. So it's Accenture. Accenture has here in Barcelona a global hub for in artificial intelligence. So that's also long collaboration with Accenture on recruitment processes. We have also Econ AI institution, which hires here locally. It's like a research project, actually directed by one of our directors as well from the other master program. But we see that, but hires also the methodology graduates as junior data scientists, and then there's also the in the top three Novartis, so it's a pharmaceutical company who also hires recurrently. To this list, I know already from this fresh data that we collected in the last weeks that Glovo would be actually in the top here, because last year they just hired, I think, three already from data science method. Well, I would have to confirm if all of them were data science methodology or the other program as well. But Glovo is also in the top company who hires. But actually, again, the list will be very long. So here is just the list of some companies which hires more. But we would say the list is very long because there's a lot of institutions or companies where we have just one person, right? So you can also consult this, if I'm not mistaken, on the website. If you'd like to see the full list of who hired in the last 3 years, we can also share it. You just please drop me an email on careerservices.bse.eu. We can share the email later as well, and we can share more precise data. In terms of positions, of course, there will be, again, a little bit of variety. So from junior data scientist, but perhaps also the most typical would be just data scientist role. Of course, junior in nature, but maybe the title will be just simply data scientist. But then there is, of course, different titles and different roles that people take, depending also on their previous background and previous experience, because that's also very, let's say, typical that we have a mixed group of students, and some of you might come freshly from the undergrad, and some others might be doing the master already a bit later in life when they have a few years or perhaps even more years of experience. And then depending on how they want to pursue, what kind of role they see themselves in, they might land more, not senior data scientist, that's rather unusual unless someone has already previous data science experience, but more mix of these previous skill sets with the data science knowledge that you acquired thanks to the master. So it will be consultants, machine learning researchers, or data analysts. Again, with the titles here, it's a bit of a mix because sometimes it's called data analyst, but it's actually a data scientist. Program managers, project managers, product data scientists. There's a bit of variety of titles, but of course, it's all about data science in this case. And the next slide, sorry. Well, here I'm not sure if this is for me. I think maybe Sandra wants to comment, but I will just then close and just say that I'm very open if you have any other questions to either answer them today in the call or you can contact us through email. I also didn't mention actually how we work with the students, and that's pretty important to know that during the whole year at the Barcelona School of Economics, you have always access to career services that we provide. So we have three main pillars which we offer to students. So one is training. So there will be cycles of training that we offer, especially in the first term. You can come to trainings like professional branding, job search strategy, how to write a successful cover letter. This year we introduced new training on AI for career success. We do interview preparation trainings, different series of trainings. We would explain to you in September all the details. Then the second part is the recruitment. So we are in touch with recruiters. We invite them to campus. We organize different career fairs, sessions, and contacts so that we also have offers for our students. And the third part, last but not least, you also have access to customized career consultants who guide you through this process of defining what you want to do, what your priorities are, what's your strategy and action plan, and then also guide you through the interview processes and any doubts you might have career related. So with this, I will give my word to my colleagues, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Magda, and thank you, David, for your presentations. Now for the students attending the webinar, you can, if you got any questions, you can write them on the chat. You can find the chat at the bottom of the page in the menu. And I will read out the questions and we try to answer them before this. We've got like 15, 20 minutes to answer questions. So please, if you got any questions, just write them along. No questions? You can ask anything about the might know if there are any fully funded scholarships opportunities. No scholarships at the moment, I think, but we might be able to offer tuition fee waivers. All the funding is based on academic merits. You don't need to send any separate application for funding, but what we do when processing your applications, we decide if we grant you any funding support, and if we do, we will let you know at the time of admissions. Okay? Any other questions?
In the meantime, if people want to ask more, but I would just sort of want to thank Magda and emphasize that from my experience, this is what students tell me. Yeah, they're very happy and they found very helpful the career services offered by BSc. Yes, it can really be helpful to help you take that next step towards your career. And as Magda said, sometimes that means that students come from other places in the world. I think roughly about like at most 10% of our students are actually from Spain. Yeah, so
Yes, indeed.
90, at least sometimes 100% are from out of Spain. So it's very international, coming from everywhere. And the fact that so many people end up choosing and having the opportunity to stay in Spain speaks highly of what career services does for them. Of course, there are merits too, but I mean, I think this is really helpful. Also, at emphasizing this last slide, you'll find these testimonials from alumni. This is a recent piece of news that was put together by the BSc. I mean, of course, as you may expect, we're sort of publicizing the program, so it's going to say good things. Yeah, that's the nature of the game. But so it's about the hard way pays off in referring to the fact that the program is sort of like intensive and it presents challenges, but at the end of the day that they can be worth it. I think to me what was interesting there was just to look at what the different people have ended up doing, and you'll see it's quite diverse in that they were happy about making this decision back in the day. So if the paths they followed more or less appeal to you, then well, this is a possible way how to go towards that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Totally. And actually, I don't know, Sandra, if there's more questions because I don't want to take.
There is one question, but
Go
it's a
ahead, go
busy
ahead.
question.
That's very fair.
You can go ahead. I answer the question after. Don't
Okay.
worry.
I wanted to add to it because it's true that, well, it's like we don't want to, let's say now, well, we should actually say how good the program is and how also great the outcomes are. It's enough to go, guys, if you want to just go on LinkedIn and filter in the filters in people who graduated from Barcelona School of Economics, and you put as a, my tip is to put as a title, perhaps data scientist or data in general. You will see people in really top prestigious institutions, companies in managerial roles by now in of course, because what I presented is the data from first placement. I should actually explain that too, that of course it's different what you start with after the first role you will get after the master, which by the way is also very often very nice. But what happens later is pure magic because the career growth is continuous, obviously. But we see after maybe even as it's really different for everyone. But when you look at people from the first cohorts of this program, so just 10 years ago, who perhaps joined the market where they are now,
Mhm.
it's really amazing results. And also, as David was saying, it's a very collaborative atmosphere. It's a very highly regarded, prestigious school to start with, as you might know, but also by employers recognized. I can just tell you, and actually, David, I will send you an email with the agenda we closed for. In April, we have a big event for, well, big. Maybe it's not so big. It's 5 companies coming plus networking, but it's important for us because it's for data science students, and we will have presentations from Amazon, from Danone, from Glovo, Bank of Spain, so also central banking. And let me quickly think the last one. Oh, I'm forgetting now. Basically, good lineup. And also later we have alumni panel where we have people from Microsoft, people from all over like prestigious institutions. So
Mhm.
definitely it pays off in the long
Right, right.
run.
Actually, there is another wonderful tool. If you go to the website, to the admissions website, you can chat with alumni. You can filter even by countries or program, and they're always available for, clearing out doubts for prospects or applicants. So, if you want to talk to in an easy way with alumni, you have this tool available for you. There are a couple of questions here. The first one is for me. When is the deadline for the program? The application deadline is July the 2nd. But I strongly recommend international students, and by international I mean non-European students, to apply as early as you can, because obviously for relocation issues, if you were admitted, you need to, there are some things that you need to do before traveling to Spain, such as visa, housing, etc. But the final deadline is July the 2nd. And there is another question, David, is for you. Does BSc has a stochastic calculus course in DSM? I don't know if David heard my question.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay.
That's a great question. Well, the honest truth is we used to have one as an elective. Unfortunately, very few students were taking it, so we had to remove it. So we have two uh, great specialists in this field. Um, Eulalia Noalart and Chiara Morino are some of our faculty. They're really good. They're really top. But the courses are not offered because we just didn't have enough students to keep it going. Now, what has happened is, for example, last year we had some people who do it the master project with them. In fact, a student 2 years ago ended up doing some research assistantship and stayed with one year working with Eulalia and Olart on these things. So yeah, we do have it in the ecosystem. It's much to my pain and sorrow that we're not offering at the moment, but it didn't seem to be the most popular place option. Sorry, but this being said, if it's something that tweaks your interest, we do have people around that you should be able to work with um, to at least learn a little. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, someone is asking me for the link for the chat tool. I'm gonna paste it here in the chat, guys, so you can.
It's already in the chat, the link to chat with
Mhm.
the alumni.
Oh yeah, okay, I see it. Um, yeah, can you repeat the source to speak? Okay. No more questions? This is your chance. There won't be another webinar this year.
You can always pop us an email, yeah, if you need.
Yeah, yeah. You can send an email to admissions. Um, are you sure you don't want to ask about the practicum, the I don't know, timing for the application process? No?
One more thing about practicum is that we also are open to students proposing their, let's say, proposing an institution or company that they would like to work with, but they would have to already kind of bring the project. We will explain this in September, but already maybe it's interesting to know that, let's say you really want to do practicum with a company and you reach out to them, the data science team, and you already have them, let's say, interested. We could also work together on this contact and perhaps turn it into practical.
Okay.
Yeah, on the practicum, I forgot to mention a question that I often get from students is whether it's paid. And that the answer is it depends. It depends on the company policies. Sometimes it's a non-profit organization and it's not paid. In our cases, the company policy is to pay a little. It's never going to be a massive salary. I would say maybe this year, what about
Mhm.
that
I
two-thirds maybe?
always say 600 to 800 depends, but again, it's we try to fight hard for this to be paid whenever possible. So we do try to put it as a requirement, but there are also very interesting projects or companies research projects where they don't really have a budget. And then, of course, if the student prefers to, how to put it, they decide that maybe it's still very worth putting the work, learning in collaboration with that institution and not being paid. So that's always it's your decision, but yeah, always the
Okay.
learning opportunities are very interesting.
And the
Okay.
priority for us is really that you learn from that training.
Yeah.
If they have the money to pay, obviously, all the better, and we couldn't be happier. But the priority is that you learn interesting things and you make contacts as well and these kinds of things. So we prioritize that. But this being said, typically at least half of them or more will pay a bit. It's not gonna be a lot, but better than nothing.
Yeah. There's a new question. Do you have a biostatistics module track?
No, no, we don't have specifically biostats. No, no. We have people teaching who have worked a lot in biostats, myself included, but no, not specifically. No.
Okay.
I would say that most of the tools that you would learn in a biostats curriculum, we kind of cover those things. So, you'd be ready with the methods, but it's not like it's something devoted purely to biostats. But, having worked in the field myself for many years, actually, also outside of academia, I spent years working, with pharmaceutical companies and medical doctors and whatnot. Yeah, the types of tools that you need, we do cover them. Yeah.
Okay. Last questions? Anyone? Well, if there are no questions, we can let you go, guys. Um, thank
Thanks
you
everyone.
thank you for David and Magda for collaborating in this webinar. For the students, if you've got any questions, any doubts, just email us to admissions or to Magda, and we try to reply as soon as possible. Remember, we are processing applications on a rolling basis, so the sooner you apply, the more chances to be admitted also, and maybe to get funding. So don't leave it for too late, okay? Thank you very much.
Thanks
Thanks.
also, and hope to see you guys in September.
Okay. Ciao. Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye.
Ciao.